Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Jared Brandon on pickups.
Hey everybody, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast, where we talk about guitar knobs, not just guitar knobs, where we talk about guitars on this podcast. So anyway, yeah, alrighty.
We talk about more than guitars, though, don't we?
Oh yeah, all kinds of stuff. Like what, Tony?
Oh, I mean, I thought we literally focused in on that whole boutique musical industry, things like pedals and
Take a big
amps.
breath for that one.
I did. I was going to unload a big slew of words, but I stopped. But yeah, pedals, accessories, guitars, amps, all the good stuff.
Indeed.
And 101s too. Don't forget those.
Oh, yeah. The 101s where we all learn a thing or two about stuff that we should have known anyhow.
Yep.
That's right.
We've got a couple coming up, which I am very excited about, and I'm going to touch on that in our... Actually, I'll just give you... So one of them is, on our last episode, I kind of threw out there, I'm like, Jared, I think it's time to do another Pickups 101 and handle a bunch of listener questions and stuff. So that is officially on the books now, everybody.
Oh, excellent.
Yes.
Yes. And with that, let's introduce our guest tonight. Who are you, guest tonight?
I assume that you're speaking to me.
Indeed.
I am Stephan McSwain of McSwain Guitars in Portland, Oregon.
All right. Now, if anybody has not seen these, I highly suggest you mobilize yourself and get over. And where can people go check these things out real quick?
www.McSwainGuitars.com, which is MCSWAIN and guitars. That's the website. I also have a nice little Instagram site, which is McSwain Guitars as well as Facebook, and kind of occasionally just carbon copy to the Twitter.
Are you only through dealer? Do you sell direct? How does this work out?
No, it's a mix, and fortunately, over the years, dealers have gotten more accustomed to having small boutique builders like myself do both.
Right.
So we have a few select dealers around the world and sell direct, but it's probably about I'd say 70% direct, 30% dealer.
Cool.
Right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Nice.
We're going to dive deep into the world of McSwain Guitars in just a little bit. We've got a couple of announcements and some fun stuff along the way before that. First of all, we needed to take care of said announcements, starting with... Rode. Oh, wow. Okay, that was a new one. Rode mics. Thank you so much, Rode mics, for providing our awesome audio gear. The Rodecaster Pro, this fantastic console doing all the dirty work. And, well, actually, the Procaster mics are probably doing more of the dirty work, if I'm being honest. So Thank you, Rode mics, for supplying that. And listen, everybody, aside from the actual podcast mics and stuff, they make some pretty crucial gear for all of us who are recording at home, either into audio or via video, if we're doing our demos or recording band rehearsals or whatever. They've got great things to capture your sound. So check them out, and they're really fantastic products made by awesome people.
Case in point, listen how good Todd sounds.
Yes, because I sound like a absolute ogre in real life. So
Come on. His head's not. It's just too big. Quit doing that.
Okay, thanks, Jared. Now it's time for Jared's ad libs. Boop.
Do we have any mail that Jared can sing his mail call song?
I don't have a mail, so he can sing the mail call right now. But you know what I do have? I've got. This is a really fantastic announcement. I think we are booked up for a little while here, and so I just wanted to share out loud some of the amazing guests that we're going to be having, and I'm leaving some off too, just so you know. All right.
Tricky.
Okay. Hello, Sailor.
Hello.
Mm-hmm.
R2R Electric.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Templo Devices. Cool. We've got DePinto Guitars.
Wow.
We've got McSwain Guitars. We've got, let's see, we've got, it's coming up, hang on. True North pedals. Okay. We've got Line 6. Gonna talk about the old HX Stomp 101. Hey-oh. Right from the horses' mouths. Plus a little bit of Schroeder on the side there. Hey,
Mr. HX himself?
Mr. HX himself. Actually, Mr. HX themselves. We got a couple of reps from them. We got the product designer and basically the sound, the guy who designed all the models and everything.
Nice.
Yeah, and then we've also got let's see here.
How are they going to put up with goofballs like Tony and I?
I don't know, but it's going to happen. We got very good Ampco coming up, and so that's just some of the things coming. That's taken us all the way into. Well, definitely into April. So I'm really excited for our calendar coming up, and I want to thank everyone for saying, "Hey, you should check these guys out," and you should check these guys out. And I also want to say, I really do either pass these on to Jared and Tony. Say, "Hey, do we know anything about this brand or maker or whatever?" And we try to get on as many as we can, assuming that they even want to. Some people just don't want to, and that's cool. We got to abide by that. The dude's got to abide.
Hey, you know who we should have on? Stephan McSwain from McSwain Guitars.
That is brilliant. I'm going to send him a letter and see if we can get it.
I'm looking at the Mad Max Terminator machine custom right now. That thing's sick.
Indeed, some fantastic things. So anyways, really, really excited. And just one final note about that Line 6 setup there. I'll probably mention this again at the actual episode, but our show focuses predominantly on, the quote, smaller builder, unquote, and boutique builders. That said, because most of our audience is so into that, something like the HX Stomp is sort of like the the thing that we're looking at going, wait a minute, I think I like it, but what about my stuff? And that's what we're going to address. And we had such great response back from the few mentions when Jeff mentioned it, when Drew Fabi mentioned it, when Eric Marrow mentioned it. And I was really surprised by the response that we got back. Pretty much everybody wants to hear more about this because I think they see the upside of having that integrated into our beloved boutique gear. So
yeah, I want to hear more.
I do. It's going to happen. All right, everybody, let's find out what's going on in our music world this week. We're going to kick it off with Tony Baloney, and then we're going to check out what our friend Stephan McSwain is doing.
So this week, I am on a never-ending quest to find Bigsby B5s instead of the Bigsby, the import B50s. The B5s are the American-made ones.
Right.
And apparently, I just found out that Fender bought Bigsby, and now there is a shortage of Bigsby B5s.
Ooh.
It's frustrating because, I could go. I know I can find them and buy them at full boat, but I try to buy them through my normal parts places, and they have been out of stock for at least 3 or 4 months. One place just got 2 in, and they went out before I could even say, "Hey, fill my back order." So I'm just going to keep going. I prefer the B50s over.
What's the difference?
So the B5s are made in the United States. So think of it, this is the horseshoe shaped Bigsby that you would put on a solid body guitar. And the B5s were the original model, and they're still made in the United States. They licensed a company to make import models called the B50, which looks and operates kind of the same, but I've used them both, and at the end of the day, I still feel that the B5 works better, stays in tune better, And I mean, it's, it seems to they seem to age better than the import ones. That's just my experience.
Dig it, man.
Stephen, do you have any thoughts on that?
It's funny you mentioned that because I didn't realize this. I'm unfortunately hearing about it through you guys, but I have a couple of my vintage models that I put the Bigsby B5 on, and I was getting ready to order some, but I guess I'm not.
No, you better hold off a little bit.
Because, and you're right. My whole philosophy is if I can buy it and it's made where it's made in the USA, I will do that, even if it's twice the price or whatever, just because I kind of pride myself on making as much of my guitar from USA made stuff as I can.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I agree. And it's like I said, it's just my experience. I've always had better luck with the B5s over the B50s. And there's honestly, when you're looking at dealer pricing, it's, I don't know, maybe $30 more to get the USA model.
Right.
So, it's to me, that's money well spent.
Right. Exactly. I'm with you.
I would think the spring, the quality of the spring for that unit would have a lot to do with the rigidity and staying in tune.
I think that's part of it. And the molds, I mean, my understanding is they're still using the same molds, at least the USA ones.
There's the only difference I can see is the ones from overseas just have Bigsby licensed.
Yeah,
that's all. That's the only difference I see, and I haven't been able to use a real B5. I said real, but a B5, and then a B50 like right after another. Mm-hmm. And I think it'd have to be on the same type of guitar, pretty darn close. So same tuners, same everything, but I don't know.
Indeed,
I would want to made in USA on a USA made guitar. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's my thought.
Yeah.
So that's my conundrum.
That is quite a conundrum.
It really is. And now it's my conundrum as well. So I share your conundrum.
Well, if I happen to get an extra one, I'll send it your way. I have so many on back order right now. I'm bound to get double what I need.
That's funny.
Stephen, what is going on in your music world this week?
Oh, man. Well, let's see. I have several projects going on right now. I have a couple of custom pieces that I'm doing, which are sort of one-offs, but sort of testing the waters to see how they resonate with the consumer base that I have. And then I'm going to just try to ship them out, sell them and ship them out. So I've just been staying super busy during all this and whittling away at my backlog. And normally, NAMM fills that back up for the year and some. And then, but I've gotten to the point where orders just kind of continue to come in, and it's not as staggering as it has been. But that has freed me up to start working on designs that I've had kind of banging around in my head for the past several years.
Awesome.
So a lot of R&D and a lot of building.
Awesome. Nice. Fantastic. Mr. Jared. Hey.
Yeah. So the Gibson SG Epiphone story
continues.
It continues. So a really good friend of mine I was in a band with, I redid his pickups when I first started doing pickup stuff. I don't remember when it was, 15 years ago at least. And then he said, "Hey, I'm selling the guitar." And I'm like, "I'll buy it just because I want the pickups out of it, because they're special to me now, because they're some of the first things that I ever wound. I hand wound that stuff. I don't hand wind humbuckers anymore." So I got the guitar back, gave him, I don't know, $250, $300. I mean, he sold it to me for, pretty cheap for what it is. I got the pickups out, and Zach had some Epiphone pickups I put in it, and with the gold original covers, everything fit, everything's back to stock. So I said, "Oh, how can I sell this thing, get cash for it without having to pay fees and having to ship it out and all that kind of jazz?" And Zach's like, "Just put it on the marketplace or, something like that on Facebook or whatever around here, a local thing." So I did that. And I tell you what, man, the people that get a hold of you about it and they they take you for a ride saying you want to buy. They want to buy it. They're like, well, I'll get the money. They never get that. Listen, they never get.
They never get the money.
They never get the money. And out of 30 people that contact you about it, one person is going to shine through and show up with a big wad of cash. And that happened today. So these, this guy was like the third or fourth guy in line to buy it, and I met him. He drove today, and I met him at the local CVS because I don't have strangers at my house. And he gave me a big giant wad of cash, and I gave him the guitar. And I said, where did you drive from? And he's like, Indiana. I'm like, what? You drove all the way to Indiana to get this thing? And I'm like, I'm not even going to count the money. Here's a 20 back for gas. So
that's awesome.
First mistake.
So, yep. But no, I didn't voluntarily give him money for gas. He shorted. I think it was short $20, but I felt bad. I wanted to give him another $20 for driving that far.
How far of a drive is it?
He drove at least more than 2.5, 3 hours.
Oh my gosh!
Isn't it? Anyway, Indiana is a lot farther than that, isn't it?
No. It's I'd say from Pataskala, Ohio.
Well, yeah,
everybody look it up. Where anything is.
I know it's about 2.5 to something like that to get to the border. But I'm sure he doesn't live right on the border like Mikey did.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very, very happy that he came all the way to give me plenty of money for that guitar. And I'm very happy and I wished him a safe ride back. Even after I saw that I was $20 shy, I didn't care. I felt bad still. And it actually worked, but I still never want to use Marketplace again because of it's just not worth going through all the deadbeats, man.
We call those tire kickers.
Kickers.
For sure.
Oh, yeah. I feel bad for the car salesman people, man.
That's the one thing I don't miss about guitar shows. In fact, the last show I was going to get an old tire I have in my garage and mount it on a piece of wood for people to kick.
That's awesome.
There's a tire over there you can kick. Don't waste my time and get the hell out of here.
Yeah. Stephen, I mentioned I don't know where anything is. You're on the West Coast. I grew up on the West Coast, so like no matter what, you know this. If you're never lost because you always know where the ocean is, right?
Exactly.
And since I moved basically over the Rockies, I've been lost ever since. I don't know where anything. I really don't. It's unnerving. It's very unnerving.
That is true. You point that way, and you know the ocean's that way, and you either go up or you go down.
Exactly.
Or you go underwater.
Which way's north?
Yeah.
Well, there's the ocean. So, but if you didn't have it, you're like, I don't know. There's north. Is up north?
Hey, Todd. Speaking of oceans,
yes.
What's going on in your world this week?
Oceans of fun. That's what's up in my world. So I've just been playing my little heart out at home, but I posted something via my professional career.
Nice.
I know. So I posted something that had to do with what I do on a daily basis, related to Dr. No pedals. I brought in a bunch of pedals from Dr. No to share with my creative team. I'm creative director by trade, and so I brought them in. I was like, I think they'd really like these because most people, maybe and if you don't know, go check out this. Go check out the Dr. No stuff. But he's made his mark by going above and beyond what pedal production looks like, and the packaging and the stories that go with it, and all that stuff. The Moon Canyon was out of control. And the new stuff that he's working on is like going to be absolutely ridiculous too. From my perspective as a creative director in the agency world, it's inspirational. Anyway, so shared that with the team, and they were just like, wow, stuff is so impressive. And they weren't going like, look at these cool guitar pedals. They didn't know what it was. They don't know what it does. I'm like, yeah, but does it have this filter? Nothing like that. They were just appreciating the craft and the thought and the creative juices that went into this. So I wrote a piece on that out in the professional world, and I immediately got a bunch of responses back of like, I'm in the creative world too, and man, this totally hit home. Thank you for posting. And it was just really cool because I was like, here are all these people that I'm already connecting with on something that I love, to get guitar gear and stuff. And then there's this other like chocolate shell coating of other connection. And it was just really great to hear that backing, because that's much more that you can relate to somebody and be like, wow, there's so much in common that we have with each other. And most oftentimes we don't know it, and it probably shortchanges the heck out of us. That's my thing, Doug.
So where can we find this posting?
I posted that. It's on the Instagrams now.
Okay.
And so go check that out, and you can read it or not, and whatever. It's cool. How about you do it? Can you team me up with how about some of this in a special way, without singing it like the Shangri-Las? That'd be great. Okay. Here we go. I'm gonna
How about some of this?
What is you, Stephen?
Could you put an Italian accent on it?
You want me to do an Italian one?
Yeah, do the Italian one.
Okay. How about some of this?
1, 2, 3, 4 on the floor.
Tony,
Yeah.
give me one good thing about Tour Gear Design patch cables.
Well, I'm going to give you one followed by another. How's that sound?
I love that.
I would say the best thing is these are incredibly dependable cables. They also are incredibly affordable. And they also are very flat and small profile.
That's true. That's 3 things. And I only asked for one. And that's what it feels like when you get Tour Gear Design patch cables. You're like, hey, I just want a patch cable. But you're like, what? This is so much better. And with a huge variety of lengths and also a fantastic discount. You cannot go wrong. You can get that discount. Yes, it's true. Go to tourgeardesigns.com/discount/the guitar knobs, and you're going to get 10% off of the huge amount of cables that you're going to end up getting. We know you will. So just go do that. Get your 10% off. Rig up your whole pedal board and be super happy. And share your pictures of it. How about doing that?
Ooh, that'd be very cool.
That's right. tourgeardesigns.com/discount/the guitar knobs. Make your pedal board really happy. Thank you guys for making an awesome product, Tour Gear Designs. Onward to 4 on the floor. Stephan McSwain, drop it on us. One at a time, baby. Just let him roll.
All right. I'm sorry to say this. I am not a huge pedal guy. I'm very simple-minded.
Small feet. We get it.
Small feet and very simple-minded. However, when I have a full rig running, my first go-to is the Boss Chromatic Tuner, the TU-2.
How long have you had that particular one?
Well, a long time. It works, and I have not splurged on any new tuners. So if it works and it ain't broke, don't fix it. Next in line would be the MXR Phase 90, which is, I would say, about 25 years old.
Wow.
And just for a little of that Van Halen-y kind of thing,
Is that's not the script version. Script version is older than that, right?
No. It's not that old. So,
Okay.
but it's just it's a great workhorse pedal and does what it is as advertised.
Right.
Next would be the Boss CH1 Stereo Super Chorus. So that's a little newer.
That sounds like something Jared would love.
Yeah,
It's just
probably. Are you running that stereo, or do you just like?
No, I like to have that option, but it just like I said, I'm not that smart with these things, so it just goes in and direct out. It's just the one that I end up getting. And then one of my newest purchases is a Solo Dallas Storm pedal. and I had become friends with Phil Solo Dallas, and he is just a great guy, and we became buddies, and so I bought one off of him, and that is it.
Wow.
So is that your? I mean, that's probably first in your chain.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, that was
Excellent.
going.
Yeah.
Going,
What do you? I mean, are you getting the whole vibe thing from it that everyone talks about?
Yeah, it's not. I don't think you're getting as much of the Angus vibe as if you had the Schaefer Tower replica that he makes, because that Angus actually uses that, you know.
Oh, wow.
And so, but it's close and it's cool. It gives you that punch, you know, that just nice little punchiness that Angus has, that AC/DC is known for.
Now, what's interesting is that so there's the classic and there's the Storm. Do you know roughly what well, it looks like the Storm has a limiter on it. That's the difference.
Right, exactly.
Gotcha. Or roughly the difference. Actually, there's more difference. So let me just, I'm looking at it right here. Let me just unconfuse the crap out of first myself and then everyone else. So the Solo Dallas that you're referring to, this was mentioned. Who mentioned that? I think that was Rock and Roll Relics that brought that up.
I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Billy's a big fan of those too, I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's the one that went off on that. And then there's the Schaefer Replica, which it's basically just an input and output. So it's the pedal version, you know, kind of squashed version of the Tower. And we're saying the Tower because it looks like a little, you know, it's a stand up, you know, like an amp top kind of thing.
Right.
The Schaefer Replica / Storm has gain, boost, and a limiter on it, that's actually pretty sweet. Very neat. All right. Nice. Yeah.
You know, Todd, you'd mentioned Script MXR pedals.
Yes.
You realize that those are now approaching 50 years old?
That's remarkable.
Oh my God. Wow.
I mean, that's just crazy. I mean, I remember, well, I'm dating myself now, when, you know, those were, you know, brand new at music stores.
Wow. Yeah. Right by the Wells Fargo wagon.
Yeah, the Wells Fargo wagon. They used to bring them in. Oh, please let it be for me.
Every time I hear that, I start singing that.
Oh man, isn't it great? Now, boy, did we just turn into a bunch of nerds talking about the Music Man? Okay,
old fuddy duds.
Right here in River City.
I love that show. Are you kidding me?
Oh man.
Begins with T, that rhymes with P.
All right, it's not enough. You're gonna get us all excited, and then we're gonna start singing Music Man. There's guys going, show tunes. What? Shaw. Anyways,
oh, man.
Well, cool, man. That's a. Oh, I wanted to say comparatively, the reason that we're like kind of oogling over this Dallas Storm is that it's $200 versus $1,200 for the
precisely
for the Tower. So it's a much more affordable way to rock your socks off. So go out and check that out. solodallas.com. Exactly. All right, everybody, we're going to check out the wonderful world of McSwain Guitars. Now, if you think you've seen guitars, you're about to venture into another arm of the Smithsonian world of guitars, so to speak, because these are pretty fantastic. These are very much works of art in the more deliberate sense. I'm not just speaking metaphorically. Like, these are,
stop.
Well, I mean, you know, there's a guitar and then there's everything that you're doing to it, and that's really where the heavy duty artwork comes in. So, very excited to talk about these because they're just different and awesome and fun.
Well, thanks, Guy.
Yeah. So people can go to McSwain Guitars, McSwain Guitars.com and check these out, or check them out on Instagram. Just type all that stuff in. I'm sure you'll find it. Now, one has to question, what on earth possessed you to say, you know what the world needs is
another guitar.
is another guitar. I suspect you had you've got some deep kind of like, I would like maybe automotive or something like that, like background to yourself. How do you get into this?
Oh God. Well, Kiss was the gateway drug. That got me started. The Kiss Alive 2 album with the little rub-on water tattoos, water decal tattoos.
Sure.
That kind of started it all. I just, I've never had any kind of automotive or anything like that background. Of course, I always have dug cars and hot rods and things, but I think that I came from a very artistic and musical family. And so, Dremel tools and X-Acto knives when I was a kid and, carving and things, but never really did anything. And then came rock and roll. And so, I'd always obsessed over guitars. And the very first guitar that I was given, which I thought was just complete nerdsville, was a 1943 Martin 0018 that belonged to my uncle. And my dad bought it off of him, and the neck had separated from the body, so he had it fixed. And I wanted, like a Jackson Soloist or a Strat or a Kramer or something like that. It was cool, but this was just not cool at all. But now I look at it hanging on my wall, and I'm happy that's where it started. So yeah, I just became obsessed with, music and what guys were playing, and that just lit the fire. And I wanted to learn everything I could about guitars, and just bought books and magazines and looked at all the pictures and cut them out and hung them in my locker and on my bedroom wall. And it wasn't until after college that I actually attempted to build one. So that was sort of the early years of my love affair with guitars.
Right on. Now, for those who aren't able to see what we're doing or what we're referencing, the reason that we are talking about cars and stuff is most of your guitars are covered in welds, rivets, and lots of sheet metal, and very, very artistically done. I stress that because I think if you said, "Oh, here's a guitar covered in metal," I'd be like, "No, thanks," because that's exactly. Like that just sounds like a hospital visit waiting. Yeah, but I think much like a really well-crafted piece of machinery, or there's an airplane aesthetic almost that's happening, especially with the rivets and stuff. It's very, very well done and very thoughtfully done, artistically crafted. Okay, so the first thing I remember when I first saw your guitars was like, oh, it's like American Pickers meets guitars. Now, I say that I'm not trying to like diminish it down into it's just this.
I don't take that way at all.
Okay. But the American Pickers part comes out because if anybody, has seen it or hasn't seen it, they focus a lot on like old gas station signs and oil signs and stuff. These giant old porcelain signs and stuff. I think that's what, to a certain degree, that's what I saw that first. But then I dug deeper into it, and I was like, no. There's much more going on than this. It doesn't stop at the facade. The top level. I mean, it goes pretty deep into it, and I think one of the coolest things that I've seen on here on the guitars that you're making is a smaller detail, but it's the hex bolts.
Yeah.
Inlays. That is awesome.
It was just a dumb mistake. and I say dumb mistake because the original way that I started doing them was literally taking hex bolts and hacksawing them in half and then grinding them down. So I just, with the like you're saying, kind of the along the lines of an American Pickers thing, I would find these really badass old 2-gallon oil cans from like the 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s that had these just old school graphics on them that are just, I guess they had a bunch of different refineries back then that would mom and pop kind of smaller that, got gobbled up by the bigger ones. But the graphics were always so cool. And I saw this one that was Stay Cool, STACOOL. And it's just, I'm like, oh, that's got to go on a guitar. And I'd already been doing some, metal top guitars that are the aluminum with the airplane gauges, that kind of thing. But I decided that, that aesthetic was something that I wanted to keep subtle enough. I know subtle shouldn't even be in my vocabulary, but have these little extra add-ons, and then for fret markers, I was like, oh, hex bolts, absolutely. So that's where that came from. It's just garage industrial, and like the little screw side dots also.
Right.
Just little things, lug nuts, actual lug nuts for volume and tone knobs. Things like that. So and since I've started doing more of these, I don't actually hacksaw the hex bolts in half, or I would, have a second and third job.
Yeah.
So I have
probably
them
minus a few fingers too.
Exactly. I have them laser cut out of aluminum, and then just inlay them in the fretboards.
That's super cool. I really dig that a lot.
Thanks, man.
I love British music. I don't know what it is, but it seems like British music, British TV. I'm just, for whatever reason, I'm really drawn to that stuff. And I see the Union Jack guitar, which one of my favorite guitars of all time is Noel Gallagher's Union Jack, the Epiphone.
Yep, the 335.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But this one, pretty sure needs to be owned by Vivian Campbell of Def Leppard, because this is screaming that.
Well, thanks, man. Yeah, he's going to have to wrestle it from a buddy of mine, Jack Crowley, who bought it right before Christmas.
Oh, nice.
But I can always make another one.
So what are some of the inspirations outside of maybe some of the more obvious ones? You've got quite an eclectic mix of things. Is there... Well,
to me, it's like I love the metal stuff is what I, that's kind of mainly what people, if they know my guitars, they know them for. It's aircraft aluminum, which is thin and adds virtually zero weight to the guitar. Most of the guitars average 7 to 8 pounds, and they look like they would weigh 25 pounds. But I wanted to kind of have something that would appeal to the other people who didn't necessarily want that industrial look or the gas can look. And so I started doing some more traditional styles, which, I didn't get too creative with the one with the flame top or the quilt top. I called it the vintage, which is kind of silly, but it's aged, it's nitrocellulose, checked lacquering, and it has a nice worn feel to it. Some of the other things, like when I first started, you were referencing the car guitars. I started carving. The very first one I did went to Steve Vai, and it was a bought Warmoth body that I carved these faces into. And then Alice in Chains bought a couple, and those were carved and had designs carved into those. And then I kind of evolved into the metal thing, and then I evolved into more of the traditional style. And then one of the kind of the more recent ones, when I say more recent, I think it goes back to 2007, was the Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas line that I did in collaboration or licensed the prints from Ralph Steadman, who illustrated all of Hunter S. Thompson's books. And, notably the first one of those went to Slash, who has remained a very, very good friend and has supported my business for years. So that was a different style where I laminated artwork to the guitar and pages from the original 1970s paperback to the back of it. So, so and kind of whatever strikes my fancy. It's like, there's no rules for me, as long as it is an amazing playing and amazing sounding guitar. You can kind of go any direction. Like with the car guitar, it was not the most comfortable guitar to play, but it sounded killer. Like one of my favorite memories of that one was George Lynch coming over to my house when I was in Los Angeles. And he's like, man, he goes, I knew your guitars looked really cool, but I didn't know they would play good. I was like, thanks, I think. So, which is awesome. George used to come over and I would help him with some of the painting and carving of his Mr. Scary Bones guitars when I was there. So
some of the details on the builds that you're creating are so imaginative.
Thanks.
You touched on something which is like there's a fine line between clever and stupid. it's one thing to say, wow, these took so much imagination, but it's like, well, do I want to play with it? Is it functionally, and you can tell by looking at some of these is like the function's been thought of as well. It isn't just, wow, this is wacky or this has never been done. Really thoughtful stuff. Thanks.
Well, like I always say, first and foremost, it has to, if you're going to charge the prices that I do, it absolutely has to play flawlessly and sound so unique and cool. And there can't be any room to chance that kind of stuff where it didn't feel right.
Right. Each one of these would just be a whole world of new, like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? But is there one thing in particular that you've done you're like, I don't know if I can actually do this?
Oh, yeah. Oh, just recently. Probably in 2006, 2007, I did two guitars that my wife had seen a documentary on how the Statue of Liberty was built. And it's by a process called repoussé, where you make a wooden form, like a mold. And I don't know if you've ever visited the Statue of Liberty, but in the base of the statue, they have a museum with some of these forms and what they actually form the copper into. So it's a reverse mold where you hammer. Repousser is French for to hammer or to beat, and you hammer this metal into this form. And so I had made these two. I made one out of copper and one out of aluminum, and it was a hot rod flame design. So it was a three-dimensional flame on the top of the guitar, yet it was a contoured carved top. So it was arched. So I'm like, how in the hell am I going to do this? So I actually carved the wooden mold and then hammered this into it and made these guitars and sort of stumbled onto it. Well, recently, this past year, a client who I've become friends with, he had seen one of those two guitars, the aluminum one, on Reverb being sold, and he got it, and it was way too distressed for him. Had the screws and was really, really just distressed looking, and he wanted it more clean. Mm-hmm. So he said, "How about would you do this?" And I'm like, I don't know. I was like, of course, my the financial brain kicks in. It's like, absolutely, So so I back then I was doing 25.5-inch Fender scale guitars, and now everything is a Gibson scale or a 24 5/8-inch scale. So the flame placement was slightly different and didn't quite fit exactly like I wanted. So I went back, and this has been 13, 14 years since I've done this, and I'm like, how did I do this? So right out of college, I had a job working for a steel company, and I learned a lot about properties of steel, and there's processes that you can
harden steel. I knew you didn't just fall into this.
So you can either anneal or which is you heat the metal up and it softens it up, and it kind of changes the molecular structure. And so I did this to the aluminum, and I started with one sheet and then pierced through it. I was like, well, shit, I've already got a couple hours into this. So I started over, pierced through that one, started over finally on the fifth sheet. Of course, my wife, who is the smart one out of the duo, she's like, why don't you use a thicker piece? And I was like, yeah, that's probably the smartest thing to do. So I annealed it. I took a torch and heated it up, and then just went to it. But distressing is fairly easy to do. Making something out of metal and getting it clean when you're doing it by hand is insanely difficult. Mm-hmm. So I had Popeye forearms, after this, because you're holding little dies that are made of wood, and then some are metal, and I'll take chisels that I've blunted and smooth the edges so that they don't pierce through the metal. And I would just sit there for hours and hammer this thing, and it finally got the thicker piece to look really, really killer. And once it was ready, then I had to engineer and figure out how to get this onto the top of the guitar, which is a traditional wood guitar. All of the guitars are either tone chambered or solid mahogany with a 3-piece set neck. So I had to figure this out. So this is one of the things I've learned about myself and really embraced, is that if I don't know the answer or solution to how something's going to work, my subconscious goes to work. And within a couple of days, I'm like, that's how I'm going to do it. And it just comes to me. And I just figured it out and worked it and made new templates. And it turned out to be one of my favorite guitars I've ever done. He wanted a real clean paint job. So I went to my local automotive paint store and got this, you know how you see the Rolls Royces and different kind of cars that have that matte black finish.
Yes.
And it just looks so sexy. And so they sell this particular type of paint. And, like I said, distressing things are easy. You spray a clear coat and then you just beat the hell out of it. And this is like, even though it's matte, shows every single flaw. And so I had to just baby this one and paint it and get it to where it was just perfect. So that was a really, really difficult piece that I was just like, I don't know how the hell I'm going to do this, but figured it out, and it turned out to be one of the coolest pieces. There's so I have some video on my Instagram page of it from probably mid-December, I think.
Okay.
So,
cool.
Yeah.
Well, could we
go ahead, Tom.
Thank you. I wanted to talk a little bit about your necks, and specifically the McSwain tone layer.
Yeah. Well,
am I right? There's an actual, almost like a U-shaped channel or a C-shaped channel that sits underneath the fretboard.
It's both. Okay. The ones as of late are just the aluminum binding, which it adds a more, I want to say, more surface area, and any kind of metal that you put on a guitar is going to add to the sustain and the ring of the guitar. Some with the full channel, it is exactly like you said. It's like a channel, like a C channel that I actually got a patent on this, which is kind of nuts. I had started, doing the aluminum binding to begin with, but then I was thinking, if you had a thin sheet of aluminum running underneath the fretboard, the sustain and the tone is just off the charts, because you're transferring every bit of vibration you can from the nut down into the body to the bridge. So what that is it gets epoxied and screwed to the substrate, the neck, and then the fretboard gets epoxied into that channel, and it works like a dream. So it's kind of both. Lately, I've just been doing the binding, though.
I was curious in terms of using a truss rod, how does the neck adjust?
It's the truss rod is underneath that, so it's a traditional, dual acting truss rod. So it just sits underneath that channel or tray, if you will, and so it just works exactly like it would if it was not there.
So the aluminum has enough give in it that it can make a pretty decent adjustment.
Oh, for sure, yeah. It's only about 1 millimeter thick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's super thin.
Wowzers. Man, you got some crazy stuff going on over there.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Well, man, I really appreciate you sharing all about your guitars, and the true artistry that you put into it is undeniable.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate you guys.
You are welcome. And not to mention, you got a hell of a great body shape on these guitars, too. Take away all the insane craftsman, and it's a great shaped guitar. Thanks,
man. That was a hard thing to do, because you see the Gibson, sort of Gibson-y kind of things, and you're just like, oh, I don't know, man, and then you just and it's funny, I'm such a jerk when it comes to that, because I'm like, you see something like, oh God, that's horrible. I never say it out loud, but that I wanted to combine. I always loved double cutaway. I always loved strap kind of style. Like, I took the best of all of my favorite things, like the belly cut from a Strat, and then like a PRS cut where the heel is, and then the Gibson style where it's nice and rounded. So I wanted something that was vintagey, but not completely ripping off, another
Familiar but original.
One of my favorite new ones, and I always see this as like something that's completely different, is if you guys know Sully Guitars. And,
we interviewed him.
Sully's I love that guy. He's such a great guy, and his conspiracy series shape is just off the hook. I love that so much. So yeah, he's good peeps.
Makes some good stuff.
I wanted to ask a few questions, if I may.
Yes, you may.
Let's
everything I say is funny. This show is magical, man. I love it. So the machine custom that caught my eye. That's if I had an extra amount of money to spend, I would get that. But the meters that you have on there, and you've probably been asked a jillion times, is there any way? Have you thought about?
I know exactly what you're going to ask.
You know, man, because it would be so cool, if they moved around when you played it.
Yes, there is a way to meter that. Unfortunately, the avenues that I've found, I mean, like I said, I'm dumb as a box of rocks when it comes to technology and electronics. I've stumbled my way into wiring split coil arcane pickups and whatever pickups into these guitars and figured out a way to get the configuration correct. But I had talked to an electrical engineer about doing it, and they were going to, I think in order to do that, it was going to cost about $1,000 for a set of gauges. So
I know, my wheels were turning like, I wonder if he used some sort of active system, and Rob probably doesn't make those. Arcane probably doesn't make the active pickups, but I don't know. But about Arcane, he is looking at all your builds. I mean, he would be like the perfect guy aesthetically to build your stuff. And I've had some of his stuff in my shop from other builders and wanting me to repair it. And I got to say, his work is really impeccable. And for what he does, it just seems perfect with your guitar.
Yeah, I've been working with Rob for years, since I was living in LA. Like he had approached me. God, I met Rob when he was working for Fernandez and running Fernandez. I had carved a Howard Stern guitar, and it was when Howard Stern had first got his TV show, and Rob Zombie was playing on the show. So Riggs, his guitar player at the time, took that up there and was going to give it to Howard Stern on my behalf, and it disappeared. So wow. He gave it to somebody, and then but funny enough, that guitar resurfaced and is in Lincoln County, or Lincolnton, North Carolina, which is a small town outside of where I grew up. So I have no idea how it ended up back at that shop, but there it is. But Rob, I've known that long. And when Rob had approached me, he knew what I was looking for. I wanted something traditional, but that would balance with the bright tone of the metal on top of the wood. And so he's just he nailed it for me. And it's a sweet sounding combination.
That's awesome.
But I tell you what, if you guys can figure out a way to get these meters to register some output, I'm all ears.
You know what? I mean, I'll give that some thought. I mean, I'm sure if an electrical engineer couldn't figure it out, I don't know why dumb old me could. But what the heck, man? I mean, well, think about it. Think about it. We have a really good pickup winders community. I'm sure there's some guys with the right backgrounds that might be able to figure that out. And I'll let you know.
I would put a contact piezo with a preamp that would pick up those vibrations, and it could drive the VU meters.
Oh my gosh, Ooh. Tony Baloney, you're so smart. There it is.
If I was doing it.
We all understand that Stephen probably doesn't have time to do all that stuff, so
yeah, I'll trade you that idea for one of the machine customs.
Yeah, perfect. You heard it here first, folks.
Cool. Let's see here. We are going to shuffle on down to Jaredville.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the point of the program where it's time to play a little game. And the game is called Would You Rather? This week's Would You Rather is brought to us by our old pal, John Esterly. And this is what he came up with. And of course, he had to have this sentence included. So you're walking down the street with your guitar and you trip. Oh, man.
Oh, no.
Dreadful.
When the guitar lands, the body and the neck are fine. But all the hardware broke off. Fortunately, this happened right in front of the guitar shop, and they have parts to fix it, but they have a set of parts. The bridge, tailpiece / trim, tuners, and knobs, all matches. So all that stuff matches. But it's not exactly what you'd normally want. Or they have individual pieces that are exactly what you want, but they don't match. So your guitar is going to look pieced together like a Franken guitar. You're on the way to the gig and you can't be late. So you need to choose between those two options.
I see. So you got something that looks like it's for your guitar, but it's not exactly the pieces you want. Or it's the pieces you want, but it doesn't look anything like what's supposed to be on your guitar.
Kind of like if you want an ABR bridge, but the only thing they have is a harmonica bridge, the big giant rectangular monstrosity.
That was very specific.
Harmonica bridge.
Well, that's what he means.
Anyway,
why do you hate harmonicas so much, Jared?
Yes.
They don't belong on the bridge part of the guitar.
Right. Anyways, okay, so Tony Baloney, you're going to kick it off. We're going to swing over to Jared and check in with Stephen, and then I'll round it up.
All right. For me, this is pretty easy. I mean, honestly, if the componentry is what I want and what I'm used to and what fits the guitar right, if it doesn't match, if it's, some chrome, some nickel, some gold, some, black, whatever, I can live with that. I mean, but because I know that it'll set up right and it'll fit properly. So that's the way I'm going.
Okie dokie. Jared.
I'm going to go the mismatch way because I would rather have functionality than aesthetics at the end of the day. I mean, the last show I played, it was a 1979 natural Les Paul, just looked roached out. It looked like orange and icky and whatever, and I didn't care because of the way it feels and plays. It does what I need it to do, and that's where I'm at.
I like that a 40-plus gentleman can say icky, and it's okay.
It's okay.
That's right. That's what we expect.
It was icky. Steven, go ahead.
I'm going to go with the unmatched parts because, as you guys said, as long as it all fits and then is what I'm used to, nobody's going to notice in the crowd because I'm going to dazzle them with my stage moves.
Perfect.
Ooh, stage moves.
You're going to wear a big diamond ring so everybody looks at that.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm
How about
definitely.
you, Todd?
Thank you, Tony. I'm definitely going mismatched. I mean, I've purposely done that to several of my guitars, so I like. I don't need everything all super matchy. I think it's fun to put your own stylings on it, anyway. So,
Yeah.
John, nice try, buddy, but you got a unanimous no to the gotta have it matched business.
I wonder what John would do.
Yeah, I think he would I don't know. That's a good question. He'd probably go our route, I think. I imagine. Well, anyways, we got a few people to thank, and then we're going to let our pal Stephen take off. Okay, so Tony, take it away.
All right, and we'd like to thank a bunch of people this part of the show. These are our executive producers. Now, you may be wondering, what is an executive producer? And more importantly, how do I become one? Very simple, folks. Head over to patreon.com/theguitarknobs. And you can find a couple of different levels in which you can participate and become a sponsor, a patron of this program. All of these levels include things like Barefoot Buttons T-shirts and stickers, picks, and keychains, and oh my goodness, the list goes on and on and on. It's an amazing conglomeration of fun stuff. But executive producers get all that great stuff, and they get one thing more. And what is that, Jared?
I have your name read on the thing.
Name read on the thing. That's what I'm going to do right now. So a special thanks to these executive producers, Mr. Tom Barazin, Martin Cliff, John Daly, Chris Carney, Darren Gregory, Doug Christ, Michael Van Zant, Ken Sayers, Brian Robison, Michael Senchuk, Stefan Lamb, Johnny Knowles, Anthony Lathrop, John Anglin, Tyler Bray, Brad Partridge, Chris Heidel, John Esterly,
Hey-o.
Doug Gann, Justin Jones, Brett Alexander, James White, Matt Hart, Liam Martin, James Pennington, Richard Kendall, Tig Harmon, John Williams, Michael DeLucio, John Jackson, Jason Roush, David Rando, Douglas King, Gary Cooper, and Rob Saxby.
Right on.
Well, wait. There's a level ever so slightly higher. Well, actually, quite a bit higher.
Mm-hmm.
The Penthouse Suite, please. These are our grand poobahs. They get to wear a special fez every time they listen to the podcast. And, of course, we provide the special fez. Which reminds me, I need to order some more fezzes.
That's right.
Put that on my list. So special thanks to these grand poobahs, Mr. Corey Nigro, David Kaminga, Cody Lane, Cody Foster, Sean S., Tommy Manasco, Mark Garton, Adam Johnson, Steve Keys, Tim Nowak, Tyler Rhines, and Jonathan Jerusik. And rumor has it, this week we have an honorary grand poobah.
Who is that?
It's Emmett Francis Jerusik, born on January 30th,
All right.
2021.
Congratulations, Jonathan Jerusik.
We have to get a baby fez now.
That's right.
That's actually pretty dang cute. Little monkey fez, one of those.
Yeah. The baby can sit on Jonathan's shoulder and tap the cymbals.
Oh boy. Well, yes, congratulations to our good friend Jonathan Jerusik on number 4, as rumor has it, and well done, Mr. Man, and welcome to the little baby there. All right, Stephen.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for joining our show tonight.
Thank you so much for having me, gentlemen.
It's been a pleasure and an honor.
This was quite an enjoying conversation.
Good. So
Excellent.
Tell everybody where they can go check out your stuff just one more time for us.
You can go to www.McSwainGuitars.com, which is MCSWAIN Guitars. We're on the Instagram, also McSwain Guitars, and on the Facebook, McSwain Guitars.
Awesome.
And feel free to email or give us a shout. And I always answer my emails and phone calls and stuff like that. And love to hear from you.
Great. Tony?
Say you need a custom pickguard. You're doing something special. You're changing out pickups. You're doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Go over to pickguardian.com. Check out some of my wares. You can order some things right there online, but a lot of what I do, almost most of what I do, is custom. So get a hold of me via email. Let me know what you need. I will take good care of you.
Great. Jared?
That's right. If you need a pickup that's new, but you want it to look old for your old guitar, I can do that. Repair old pickups to restore your old guitar, whatever you want there. I do a nice little quick show about the restoration of pickups called Rewind Time with Brandon One Pickups, and it's about time to drop another episode.
Yes, excellent.
Yes, it is.
Go to BrandonOnePickups.com.
You also make new pickups too, so
that look new.
yes.
Yep. So any of that's boring, but any of that.
Yes.
Let me know what I can do for you. Please contact me. I'm on Instagram showing off crazy weird stuff anyways.
Right on. You can send me an email, Todd at theguitarknobs.com, or you can DM me on Instagram at guitarknobs. Send us something. I'll share it with the boys here. And if we've got an answer to one of your questions, we will gladly provide that. Also, please send in your Would You Rathers. We love getting them, and they're super fun. So do that. Stop holding back, people. All right. One final farewell to Stephan McSwain of McSwain Guitars, and have a great guitar week, and subscribe!
Heck yeah.
Robots will replace us.
That's it.
That's right.
They already have.
I just bought a very expensive snowblower. My old snowblower, I'm done with it, man.
Why do you need a snowblower? You've got like a driveway with a truck in it.
Because I want a clean driveway and clean sidewalks at all times.
Tony Maloney. Jared, can you hear me? It's Clem Fandango, Jared. Can you say this like more like this?
Yes, I can hear you, Clem Fandango. I have a snowblower called a shovel.
Hey, hold up a second before you. I gotta use the bathroom. It's a good thing that thing doesn't activate when he barks. They would finish it up. Yeah. They would just eat the whole box full or whatever it is, a little tank full of treats.
Unless it was a little boxing glove that came out. Oh,
I know. Yeah, no more treats.
That would teach him.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could just give you one. Do I have to limit it to one?
Wow. The shortened version of this is not working out. So I got to back that up and do that whole delivery over again. Golly sakes! All right, I can do it.
Buddy.
I can do it. I was all hopped up on Music Man.
I guess I'm glad one of us is sober at the
Tony,
wheel.
you always got my back. Thank you. I appreciate that. Here we go.
I'll take a drink.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I know it's funny, but let me use the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Could you take your mic with you?
I know it's funny. I have a snowblower called the Sun.
But this snowblower I got, it's got like hand warmers.
Yeah, you did that just for effect, Jared. I know it.
No, it's got hand warmers. It's got it turns like a power steering.
Oh, this is your new one, you mean?
Yeah.
You know your driveway's a square.
Jared, did you wash your hands?
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.